Hi, Passionators. Yes, once again, I have returned. I think I like being with you guys early in the day like this. It's not too early, it's not too late. The sun is doing what it's supposed to do. And I'm out in it, clearly, where I like to be best with you guys. Happy holiday to everybody. I hope you are squeezing in some extra time with people that matter to you, passing out some love, spreading some hugs, and just making people feel better that you showed up. Do that. Holidays are a great time for that. Otherwise, what's the point? Have some fun. Remember the good stuff and make new good stuff to remember later. That's the best part. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Hi, Perry. Hi, Ellis. Yeah, I convinced my curls to hang out for a little while. I'll be sure to tell my hair doctor you said that. Since they've been in since yesterday, I thought they went to sleep when I did, but apparently, they're not doing too badly right now. But the wind is really low too. It's really low. Yes, and good morning back to you. So the questions and answers that I'll be talking about today sort of run the gamut. Oh, and one reminder, I am appearing tonight on the hottest radio live. My new radio family over at Rebirth is, we're doing part two of the show that I did last Tuesday. So check out my page for the link and I'll definitely post it so you can tune in live. The show goes live tonight at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. So for now, my attention is undivided. So if you have something that you'd like to talk about right now, feel free to comment. Otherwise, I'm going to get started with what I've already got. Hi, Tony. Hi, Shay. Shay is the fabulous person who actually hosted me on her radio show that's coming on tonight. So be sure to tune in. We started out this part of the conversation with sex robots, and it sort of went on from there. So it was interesting. It's interesting to say the least. But I digress. That isn't the topic for this morning. Unless somebody's got a pressing issue about that, that isn't the topic for this morning. This morning, I want to talk about what mostly shows up in my inbox without too much identifying information. So I'll just talk about the situations involved. One of which is how to be single. How to be single graciously was the word that was used. I think that's a pretty good description, actually, because the way society is bent right now, there seems to be a real problem with that. It's typically not spoken about as if it's something to be desired. It's spoken about as if it's something to get away from, like as soon as possible, whatever it takes, by any means necessary. And that's very much how we get into a lot of the toxic entanglements that we end up in, right? Because we're running away from being single. We're running away from being alone. We're running away from being lonely. And we think that being in a relationship is the answer to that. And typically what happens is we get into a relationship only to find out that that isn't the answer. Some of us are lonelier in our relationships than we were before our relationships. Am I the only one who's ever discovered that? Am I the only one who's come to that massive realization way too late? There are actually several reasons for that. It's not entirely because you have unrealistic expectations, although that is a big part of it. One part is because, especially for people who have been single for a while, you tend to move too fast. Once somebody shows up that you're really interested in, you just move too fast. They start, especially if you knew them before, right? That's a big trap. I hear about that one a fair amount of time too. You know, I just reconnected with somebody I went to high school with. Oh, and I had the biggest crush on them then. I just, oh, the sun rose when they woke up. Like, it was deep. I just knew. And then, you know, we grew up and went our separate ways, but at the reunion, they showed up. And they look amazing. And now they want to try. It's only been, it's the 20-year reunion, so it's been 15, 20 years, 25 years since the last time you've seen these people. And you get back together. It's so much fun because you spend so much time talking about how much fun it was to be in high school. You talk about how the tension of liking each other and being afraid to talk about it. You talk about, you relive a lot of good times, and it feels good. It feels good to do that. It takes you back mentally and physically, in the sense that when you remember vividly, your body cannot tell the difference between a vivid memory or anything that you think about that you tie a lot of emotion to something that's actually happening to you. Your body can't tell the difference. That's why when you have a dream, anybody ever had a dream that they were falling? What did you do? You weren't falling anywhere, but you woke up gasping, reaching, trying to break a fall that you weren't having. But it was happening in your mind. And because of that, it was happening in your body. When you woke up, your heart was racing. You could barely catch your breath, and you were in your bed. That is the power of your mind. It takes your body back. So when you relive those memories, when people play that remember when game with you, that's a huge manipulation, by the way. For people who are looking to take advantage of you, that's a really big manipulation. So you have to watch how that's being used, because in a good situation, it's a wonderful thing. That's why it's effective. In a good situation, it's a wonderful thing with somebody who really is into you, connecting to you, reaching for you, seeking to get to know you. It's a beautiful thing to share memories that make you smile. Just understand that every time you relive that memory, you re-imprint your body with what it felt like. So it's as if you're experiencing it all over again. That can be a beautiful thing, unless it's a painful memory, because the same dynamic works negatively as well. So take your time, because when you relive these good memories, you get high. Dopamine, oxytocin, norepinephrine, they're all $20 words for chemicals that go off in your brain that make you feel intoxicated. That doesn't happen with your permission. It's how we are wired. It's how we're wired. That's what makes us crave each other. Hi, Kevin. That's what makes us crave each other. That tendency, that feeling of, OMG, I can't live without them, is primarily chemical. They call it chemistry for a reason. It's bang, boom, pow, fireworks, all that good stuff, and it feels incredible. That's why it's so addictive. You have to be able to stay conscious and aware and in your mind long enough to allow that feeling to subside. Sidebar. I got a question earlier about why did he pull away from me after sex? Before sex, he was all over me. Yeah, that's pretty much how that works. But that's part of the reason why. Because before the orgasm, you're only moderately high. You're only slightly high. You got a little buzz going on. But in the throes of an orgasm, in the throes of the most intense part of the orgasm, your brain literally takes a bath in dopamine. A bath. Put another way, the same thing that gets triggered in your brain by cocaine or heroin gets triggered in an orgasm. How many people under the influence of cocaine and heroin have you known to make good decisions for themselves? I'll wait. Okay, so understand that going in, that whole scrambled brain thing is real. Okay, it's very real. You didn't make that up. It can work in your favor. We have it for a reason. It's primal. It's a trigger that drives us together. It helps us to continue the species. It helps us to want each other. It helps us to value each other. It helps us to desire each other. It's a good thing, but you have to be aware of it so that you know how to use it to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. Back to the topic. Just wanted to point. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish that one. That's the reason why he pulled away from her after the sex was over. Because once the dopamine bath dissipates, he sobered up and realized that he was with somebody he really wasn't that into. When he looked over and saw her there, the sudden realization came that it wasn't really that important to him. She wasn't really that important to him. Unfortunate, but it happens. But the reason why they got together in the first place was because they were both under the influence of their own arousal. Yes, you can be under the influence of something other than illicit drugs or alcohol. You can be under the influence of arousal and have your brain just as scrambled. Stop making partner choices from your arousal. Keep that one on speed dial. You'll probably need it later. So back to this issue of he just came back into my life and OMG, it's like he never went anywhere. Oh my God, we just have this chemistry and we've known each other forever. We've got this history. Yeah. Here's the deal. I actually got this question originally from a friend of mine who was in that exact situation. So she was going on and on about how wonderful he was, right? And how intense he was about getting back with her initially. And then he sort of disappeared. He didn't go entirely ghost, but he got to be slower to respond. And she went into a panic because he wasn't being as responsive. And she did what so many of us do in this situation. She assumed that she had done or said something that pushed him away. Now, in fairness, that's a distinct possibility every time. Because under the influence, you don't make the best decisions. When you are being controlled by your desire, you are under the control of your emotions. And anytime your emotions are in charge, you run the risk, the very high risk, of making decisions that don't work in your favor. The only time you can safely let go of your emotions is when you're in a situation that you have already rationally determined is good for you other than your emotional trigger. Is this good for you when you're standing up and fully dressed? Is it still good for you then? Is it good for you when you're just on the phone? Is it good for you when something good happens to you and you're trying to think of somebody that you want to call, like right now? Is that the name that comes to your mind first? If you get an unexpected tragedy, which happens to all of us at some point, are they the first person that you want to call? Do you believe that they would be there to comfort you? Would you even want them to know that you are in this crisis? See, arousal is sexy and it's fun and it's enjoyable, but it's a very different set of circumstances, a very different set of criteria than the criteria that makes somebody a good partner for you. Now, the good news is you can have both. That's the good news. You can be with somebody that you are wildly attracted to, who is actually compatible with you. But you have to take the time to find that out. And after being separated for 20 years, you don't know them anymore. Stop convincing yourself that you do, because you don't. 20 years is a lifetime. Just because they have all the same relatives and you have this shared history does not mean that you can share a future. That's not what that means. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Now, is it great that you have this shared history? Sure. It can work for you, but it's not necessary, because people who are new to each other can have the same opportunity to create a lasting, loving, healthy relationship. Same opportunity. It's about the choices you make. It's not about the history you share. So, my advice to my friend when she showed up with this one was to not panic. He withdrew. Give him some time. Let him breathe. Go back to your life. And if he's really interested, he'll reach out again. Because he does. He would. He was the one who reached out in the first place. And sure enough, he did. And when he did, she went right back into love bomb mode. That's not a good place to be. Because she was still in the mindset that they'd known each other for 20 years. And they hadn't. They knew about each other 20 years ago. That's a very different thing. A very different thing. She didn't know anything about how he had changed in that time, what he had been through, or how it had shaped him. She just knew that she was still really attracted to him, and he seemed to be to her. So she went back to high school mentally too. And she started acting like a teenager. And I got this message from her that said, I did everything you suggested I shouldn't do. How do I fix it? said, tell me how to fix it. I just, you ever had those moments when you just kind of look at your phone and shake it? You think there must be something wrong with it, or you are obviously missing something. So you go back and read it again because you think somewhere it might have changed languages or something. I, s- I said, wait a minute, did she really just say, I did everything that you suggested I don't do? Now tell me how to fix it. That's what she said. At that point, I was fresh out. It's like I had given her my best stuff before she made this decision. And now she didn't know what to do to get him interested in her again. So, for other people who find themselves in this situation, if you understand this one thing, you will liberate yourself from much agony and much despair. The goal is never to get them interested in you again. That is not the goal. The goal is to be comfortable enough in yourself and your own life that you can graciously withdraw from anybody. Anybody. Including spouses. Anybody. When a situation that you walked into no longer enhances you, it doesn't build you, it doesn't expand or evolve or elevate you, when it becomes a soul suck, it's time to go. When you have to chase or manipulate or do any of that to get what you require in a relationship, you're not in the right one. They're not the right person. They don't have the same priorities in a relationship that you have. That is a deal breaker. That makes you incompatible. Incompatibility is a deal breaker. What is incompatibility? Incompatibility means that the things that you require in a relationship are not a priority for the person that you're trying to be in a relationship with. It really is that simple. If trust is a requirement and you don't trust them, that's a deal breaker. That's not a cue for you to start stalking their social media. It's not a cue for you to be trying to get into their telephone. It's not a cue for you to be in the email. It's not a cue for you to be surprising them in places where you know they're going to be, even though you haven't been invited. It's not your cue to try to change their minds and make them want to be with you the way you want them to be with you. It's not what that is. It's a signal that you're in an incompatible situation. I did say soul suck, Eve. And I meant it. Let me say it again. If it's a soul suck, sounds just as bad as it feels. If it makes you feel that way to be in this situation, you have no business in that situation. And it isn't going to get better. It is going to get worse. Stop trying to make something that it's not. That's how you end up breaking your own heart and then blaming the person that you're with when it's not their fault. No matter what they do, even if they are cheating, it's still not their fault. But Eden, how can you say it's not their fault? They're wrong. They cheated. They lied. They stole from me. They lied. Yeah, all of that. Even if all of that is accurate, even if, let's say it is. It probably isn't, but let's say it is. Even if all that is accurate, the truth is, every time you go back, you endorse it. But Eden, I told them I didn't like this. I told them how wrong it was. I said, and we kept arguing. And every time I bring it up, as long as you keep going back, you endorse it. But I shouldn't have to leave because I'm not wrong. There, as long as you keep going back, you endorse it. Anytime somebody demonstrates to you consistently, especially when they do it consistently, that they cannot be trusted to honor your requirements for a relationship, and you keep going back, you endorse the behavior. They don't care about your tantrums. They don't care about your tears. They don't care that you can't eat, that you can't sleep, that you're risking your job. They don't care about that. If they cared about that, they wouldn't be doing whatever it is that's breaking your heart in the first place. Once you let somebody know that they are doing something, saying something, being something that is a soul suck for you. I'm not talking about the little stuff. I'm not talking about the toothpaste tube gets squeezed from the middle instead of the bottom. I'm not talking about that. I'm not even talking about socks in the middle of the floor. Not talking about that. I'm talking about you go to bed wondering where they are. I'm talking about when something is upsetting, your default is to start yelling and screaming and throwing stuff, calling each other out of your names. I'm talking about when you're out in public and they look for ways to embarrass or humiliate you. I'm talking about that kind of stuff. Of course, that's not the complete list, but I'm talking about that kind of stuff. That's stuff that is clearly a soul suck. Every time you go back, you co-sign. You endorse it. If they cheat and they show no remorse, because some of them will clearly say to you, if you do catch them, they'll clearly say to you, and yeah, I did it, now what? Yeah, I did it, so. And you going crazy. You going crazy. You doing whatever it is that you think you can do to try to hurt them back is only going to make a bad situation that much worse. Because ultimately, what do you think the response is going to be to that? Whatever it is you do. What do you really expect the response to be? Hey, Jade. What? When you go ballistic, however you do it, what do you expect the response to be? Do you expect them to crumble in a pile at your feet and beg your forgiveness so that you can walk away and just leave them in their pile? Even if you got that, then what? What have you gained? What have you gotten now that makes you any better off than you were before? When you get caught up in that whole revenge thing, it really does come back to bite you. It really does. It only comes back to bite you. Because the fact is, the only reason you want revenge is because you felt entitled to them and you weren't. But we were in a relationship. We were exclusive. We were in a monogamous commitment. We were married. They were mine. They were never yours. Just because they choose to share their life with you doesn't mean you own them. They're not obligated to stay. They were never obligated to stay. Here's the rub, even after you got married. That front door that they walk in every day, they can just as easily walk out and never come back. They don't owe you their life in the future because they shared their life with you in the past. I'm going to say that again. They don't owe you a future because they shared with you your past. And until you embrace the fact that if you want a happy, lasting, loving relationship on a daily basis, that you are going to have to focus on putting effort into recreating that relationship on a daily basis. You're going to have to invite each other back into each other's worlds on a daily basis. You're going to have to find ways to do that. You're going to have to create ways to do that. It's all about focus. It's not even that hard. You just need to do it every day. And if you have a mindset that says on a daily basis, what can I do today to let my mate know how much they mean to me? Sometimes it really is as simple as a hug or a kiss. Some of you haven't kissed each other like you mean it in months. It's quiet. I'm sorry. You stopped kissing each other years ago, and then you wonder why you don't feel close. You don't even kiss each other during sex. That's another video, though. But rest assured, it's coming. Affection is an amazing thing. Touching each other outside of the bedroom is an amazing thing. Some of the best tools in your loving arsenal are at the end of your wrists, and you're not using them. Thank you, Shay. Thank you for posting that. I'm looking forward to the show tonight. It's not that difficult. People keep yelling and screaming about, it's too much work. I don't want to do all this work. Relationships are so hard. They're not hard. We make them hard. Because we kick and scream about what we want. We kick and scream about what it ought to be. We tantrum about what we deserve. And we don't deal with what is. When you start dealing with what is, you would be surprised how simple things become. When you learn to become multilingual in how you speak love languages, you will be surprised how much simpler your life becomes. Once you tune in to your partner's love language and stop doing for them what looks like love to you, it will simplify your relationship a whole lot. That is, if you actually care about being in a relationship. if you actually want to keep the relationship happy, if you're together because you actually want to be together instead of you want to punish them for something that you think they did to you, or you want to make them miserable for some other reason. Maybe it was something somebody else did to you and you didn't get to pay them back. So now you're going to pay back your partner. You're going to do all the vile stuff to your partner that you never got to do to the person who actually did violate you. As long as you're not together for that reason, it really is radically simple to be in a happy, healthy, loving, intimate, sexy, juicy, fun, delicious relationship that you would never want to be without. It's not difficult at all. It's very simple. And small efforts over time do amazing things. Amazing things. Start hugging each other again. Back to this whole anatomy thing. There's research that shows when you hold somebody for more than 20 seconds, it releases endorphins, those bonding chemicals that make you want, well, that's oxytocin really, but the names aren't important. Bonding chemicals get released. And the longer you stay there, the more you want to stay there. A strategically placed slow dance for no particular reason can do some wonderful things. If you just try it. You don't have to rehang the universe. You really don't. You just have to pay attention. Now, if you don't want to pay attention and you want benefits like you did pay attention, then you want too much. Your expectations are off. And that's why you're perpetually frustrated. So while you're busy blaming it on this person and the next person and every other person you've been in a relationship with, the problem is your expectations. That you deserve this and you deserve that. You don't get what you deserve. I know a lot of folks get offended by that one. You don't get what you deserve. Life isn't fair. I have a meme about that. It has a picture of a lion on it. It says, you expected a lion not to eat you because you didn't eat him. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. What you want is unrealistic. What you deserve is unrealistic. You get in a relationship pretty much three things. You get what you create. You get what you accommodate. And you get what you negotiate. Notice, I said nothing about what you want, wish, desire, deserve, any of that. What you create, what you accommodate, and what you negotiate. So if you don't learn to create, accommodate, or negotiate those things that you actually require in a relationship, you will forever be disappointed. You are always going to be frustrated. You are going to be perpetually pissed off. I like that. Grab his butt while he's cooking. You go, Denise. That's why you still grinning after all this time. Yes, Eve, hugs are amazing. They do amazing things. Thank you, Gary. They do amazing things if you would just use them. You don't always have to get people naked to connect with them. You know how many receptors there are in your hands? You know how good it can be just to hold each other's hands? Especially for those of you who are anything like me and big fans of PDA, holding hands is a great way to do that. Walking with your arms around each other. Stopping for a hug at the corner when you're walking wherever. Taking the slow stroll on the scenic route. Just squeeze in that 20 seconds for no reason at all. You don't have to turn it into a sex show in a public place to show affection to each other. It can be an amazing thing. Ever tried feeding each other with no utensils? Anyway, I digress. Suffice it to say, it's not difficult. You just have to tune in and stay tuned in. You have to let go of the assumption that because you knew them that you still know them. Because the truth is, even when you knew them, you didn't know everything there was to know about them. And they can still surprise you. Even after years, even after many years, they can still surprise you. Because not only did you not know everything about them before, but over all those years, they're not the same anymore. They may have different priorities. Things that they enjoyed before, maybe not so much now. Maybe they want to do something different. Maybe they want to try something different. Maybe they're thinking differently about something. And you need to be aware of what that is. But if you never ask the question, you're not going to know. And if you have children together, and if you've been raising them together, once they get out of the house, your relationship is going to be in deep trouble. Deep trouble. And it doesn't have to be. You don't have to stop being a couple to be good parents. Shock and amazement, OMG. You don't have to stop being a couple to be good parents. As a matter of fact, if you do stop being a couple to be good parents, when you are no longer hands-on parents, you won't be a couple either. Happening all the time. Divorce courts are running over with marriages that are over 20 years old for that reason. Because for couples who do have children together, it's usually right about that point that the children are leaving home. And they are looking across the pillow at each other, realizing that they don't know who that is looking back at them. They don't even know if they like that person. They've been going through the motions with that person for who knows how many years. But they don't know who that person is. And even worse, they don't want to know. Doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. Keep touching each other. Keep hugging each other. Keep kissing each other like you did when you were dating. Like when you were firing off all those fabulous hormones that made you crave each other. Keep doing that. But most importantly, keep talking to each other about something a little more significant than what's on TV and what's for dinner. I go into that with couples that I work with all the time, what you should ask and why. But understand that it's something you're going to have to commit to do at least monthly in order to stay in real touch with what's really happening in your own relationship. Too many people make far too many assumptions about their mates just because they keep coming home. And understand that just because they keep coming home doesn't mean that you're not alone. They could be going through the motions and have checked out. Checked out. Even when they're having sex with you, they're not even thinking about you. They're thinking about someone else. But that's another video too. And I think I may have overstayed my welcome today. But I did want to stop by earlier than usual just to see what it was like to connect with you guys earlier in the day while the sun is still out, distractions and all, Wi-Fi issues and everything. Thank you for sticking it out with me. I appreciate your time and your attention. I really sincerely hope I said something that was valuable to you. Please feel free to share this video. I really do this for only one reason. I had a question from a new passionator recently who simply asked me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a love gardener. Eden is where I sow. Passion is what I grow. It's my mission in life to encourage love. And it is an uphill battle. But it's okay because I'm built for the war. I just want your help because you people, all you fabulous passionators that tune in, you know people that I don't know. So if you can help me reach them, that would be awesome. And we can make this movement do something. We can reverse this negative tide about relationships and intimacy and commitment and passion and love. We can reverse this negative tide. And we can show openly, consistently, that it can be done, that it is being done, and that people wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you again for tuning in. Enjoy your holiday. Spread some love. And please continue to leave your comments. If you're watching this on a replay, I'll be back to respond to your comments. If you'd rather send me a private message, awesome. Please do. And there'll be more videos to come. And there'll be a membership program coming too. So yeah, when we do the membership program, it'll be more videos like this. There'll be live conversations, but I'll record them just for you. And they won't be the same as what I do on Facebook. So stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you totally. Enjoy your holiday. And tune in next time. Oh yeah. And tune in to Rebirth tonight. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And see what I had to say about sex robots. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.